This lesson will introduce you to 5 possible texts that you can use for your added value unit at National 4. The 5 texts will be on a common theme of plastic pollution, but you will only select 2 of the texts out of the 5. In the next few slides, we'll give you an introduction to the 5 texts that you can choose from. The first text is a website called Surfers Against Sewage. The second text is a blog called Kids Against Plastic, which has a TEDx talk that you can listen to. The third text is the Greenpeace website on plastic pollution. The fourth text is a news article from The Guardian called Shelves of Shame. And the fifth text is a CBBC Newsround report. The first text we're going to look at is the website Surfers Against Sewage. If you go to the website www.sas.org.uk, you'll see that they set out their mission statement saying, "Our work. We're galvanising communities and inspiring people to protect our beautiful coastlines." They then give some information about plastic pollution, facts and stats. Plastic pollution can now be found on every beach in the world. From busy tourist beaches to uninhabited tropical islands, nowhere is safe. Scientists have recently discovered microplastics embedded deep in the Arctic ice. In 1950, the world's population of 2.5 billion produced 1.5 million tonnes of plastic. In 2016, a global population of more than 7 billion people produced over 320 million tonnes of plastic. This is set to double by 2034. Every day, approximately 8 million pieces of plastic pollution find their way into our oceans. There may now be around 5.25 trillion macro and microplastic pieces floating in the open ocean, weighing up to 269,000 tonnes. Plastics consistently make up 60 to 90% of all marine debris studied. Approximately 5,000 items of marine plastic pollution have been found per mile of beach in the UK. On the Surfers Against Sewage website, they present an important infographic called Sources of Marine Litter. This uses visuals to explain how plastics end up polluting the ocean. And this is something that you can study and analyse for its effectiveness as part of the AVU. The second text we're going on to look at is the blog called Kids Against Plastic, which has the TEDx talk on it. When you go on to the website and start reading the blog, you'll immediately see the big Kids Against Plastic logo and also 2 pictures of Amy and Ella Meek, who are the children who have written the blog. On their blog it says, "Want to find out more about our campaign and what we've been up to, or discover some facts about plastic? Search the post below to find some inspiration for what you can do next. And if you want to write a guest post, we'd love to hear from you." Here we have the Kids Against Plastic TEDx talk. It's a 12-minute presentation that you can click on once you're on the website and listen to. Here you could have a good look at the purpose and audience of the talk, pick out main details that the girls are saying, and also look at some of the effective techniques they're using to get their message across. The third text that we're going to look at is the website from the organisation Greenpeace. On this, there's an extensive amount of information, some of which we've put here. Majority of the website is written text. Plastic pollution. Plastic is everywhere, useful and convenient. It's also a massive pollution problem, especially in our oceans. Turtles and seabirds become ensnared in discarded plastics, and tiny microplastics are eaten by pretty much everything. We need to solve this problem at the source and produce less plastic in the first place. Plastic is incredibly versatile and long-lasting, finding its way into every corner of our lives. But the very qualities that make plastic so useful also make it a huge problem. Cheap and disposable, plastic has been a symbol of our throwaway culture. As a result, vast quantities pollute our world. Much of it flows into the oceans, turning them into a plastic soup. A truckload of plastic enters the ocean every single minute, and UK supermarkets produce 800,000 tonnes every year. With production increasing, that's set to rise. Bottles, pots and food trays are immediately obvious, but other types of plastic pollution can be harder to spot. When plastic breaks down, it doesn't disappear. It gets smaller, creating tiny particles called microplastics. Even clothes made from artificial materials shed microplastic fibres when they're washed. Microbeads, another type of microplastic, are sometimes added to products such as cosmetics and toothpaste. Impossible to filter from wastewater, they end up in our oceans. Bits of plastic have been found in every corner of the world, including the deepest ocean trenches and on uninhabited islands. Our own researchers have found plastic pollution in Antarctica. Turtles, dolphins and seabirds can become entangled or injured by large pieces of plastic. It can even be mistaken for food. Microplastics are just as devastating. Swallowed by everything from microscopic zooplankton to giant blue whales, they enter the food chain and carry harmful toxins. Microplastics have even been found in human poo. You should find enough information in this presentation to cover purpose, audience, main details and techniques. But if you need more information and want to look at how the website is presented, including some of the photographs they use, please go to www.greenpeace.org.uk/challenges/plastic pollution. The fourth text that we're going to look at is an article from The Guardian called Shelves of Shame. The headline reads, "Shelves of Shame, are these the worst recycling offenders in supermarkets?" And the subheading reads, "A quick tour of the big stores shows they could do much more to cut out plastic." Craig Curtis, the new president of the Recycling Association, is staring with exasperation at the aisle full of salad leaves. He presses a bag of rocket. "Do you hear that?" he says, as the plastic crackles. "That's laminated. One sort of plastic on the outside and a totally different sort on the other." He shakes his head at the supermarket display. "You can't recycle it. It just goes into waste. If these things were made from one polymer, we could recycle all of it." Supermarkets, manufacturers and packaging companies are under more pressure than ever to create less waste. Report after report details the menace that discarded plastic poses to our waterways, coasts, sea life and even our health. Ministers have promised action. Philip Hammond, the Chancellor, wants to tax any plastic packaging with less than 30% recycled material. The Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, is planning a bottle deposit scheme, following Scotland's lead, and wants to create a uniform system of recycling across England, rather than leaving it to local authorities to choose. Supermarkets say they are taking the issue seriously. Iceland is aiming for all its own brand products to be plastic-free by 2023. While others, such as Tesco and Lidl, say they're making much more of their packaging recyclable and reducing it where they can. But the Recycling Association, which represents independent waste and recycling operators, believes that they could be doing more, a lot more. Curtis, who has worked in the industry for 44 years and becomes the association's president next week, points out some of the worst examples of packaging waste during a tour of Hertfordshire supermarkets. At Tesco and Potter's Bar, the fruit and vegetable aisles are full of produce wrapped up in plastic. Not all plastics are equal, however. How can you tell what is laminated layers of different plastics and what is a single material that could theoretically be recycled? You can't, Curtis says, at least not easily. You need to take a lighter and burn a corner. The type of smoke it produces shows what sort of plastic it is. The worst example in this aisle is a packet of Tesco's Ripe and Ready conference pears with 3 types of plastic, none of which can be recycled. The 4 pears come in a plastic foam tray with a laminated plastic film around them and a flat, stiff, clear plastic shield. That's madness, absolutely madness, he says. It's sort of understandable because it's probably protecting them from bruising, but cardboard would be so much better. A Tesco spokesman said all its packaged pears would come in a recyclable pulp tray from next week, and that the rest of the packaging protected the fruit, causing less food waste. This article continues at the link below, but you may find that you already have enough information on this text to cover your purpose, audience, main details, and your techniques. Our last text is the CBBC Newsround report, which can be found at the link below on YouTube. It's called How Did We Get to a World Full of Plastic? You should now have researched 5 texts that you can use for your AVU. However, as we know, we only need 2 of the 5 texts, so you can now choose these to compare for the unit. The next lesson will take you through how to complete the AVU booklet using the 2 texts on plastic pollution that you have chosen.